Hey again, how you doing? This is NKH and we have the Blacksmithing video because Mr. Arrowan, I hope I pronounced that right. It was Arrowan, right? Like it was Arrowan. You cannot see that. Yeah, we have the Blacksmithing video. So if you don't have the channel sub, please sub the channel. I'm telling you how to best spec into Blacksmithing to craft T5 gear. Mythic equivalent T5 gear. Like the other videos, check the playlist. You know what to do. Let's get to the video. Here's some good news, and finally some good news, because in the last professions we didn't have a lot of good news. Our trainer actually trains us up to level 70. You can actually train recipes up to 70. So using those recipes you can scale up to 80 really easily, and it's armor and weapons. So you can just craft those blue armor and blue weapons to get to 80. Really simple, because that's the highest I have seen so far on the professions by trainer recipes. You don't need anything else, just the trainer recipes, and you get to 80. So that our trainer is really generous this time around. The only thing I want to add here when scaling up to 80 is that try to craft every recipe at least once, so you gather all of the knowledge points and have an easier time speccing into gear or speccing into any any build that you actually want to do. So whenever you're trying to skill up to 80, just make sure to craft every recipe. From this point onward, you have the choice between weaponsmithing and armorsmithing. Now, this is completely up to you. I prefer the weaponsmith first because it requires way less knowledge points, and every class needs a weapon, and everybody gonna be looking for weapons in the first few weeks, because nobody's gonna be like 90% of the player base is gonna be unlucky and don't have a weapon crafted for them, or weapon dropped for them, not crafted for them, and they will just go to the crafting. They will save their sparks for their two-handed weapons or get a one-handed weapon the first week. So it's best to just spec to the weaponsmith first, then go to the armor crafting. But if you have more alts, you can do one on armor smithing and one on weaponsmithing. This is completely up to you, but you're gonna be getting it all unlocked later in the expansion, so this is just up to your preference. Whichever you choose, you get a few spark recipes and you can craft those gear to skill up to 100. Now you can use NPC orders or the public ones or the personal ones to skill up to 100. Your main focus at this point is just to get to 100 somehow, doesn't matter how. In weaponsmithing spec, you wouldn't be able to craft T5 right away when you unlock the recipe. You have to spend all of your points in the main node, so you would be able to craft every weapon at least rank 4, so you can craft it with concentration to rank 5. So first things first, you must spend all of your knowledge points in the main node. That way your skill is as far as it's possible to craft it with concentration. And you want to unlock every recipe no matter what you do. I strongly suggest that you go to the left side first, because most of the player base is looking for swords and daggers. And the other thing is that through the bladed spec, you can get a two-handed, one-handed, and a spell sword for mages, warlocks, and all of that. But hafted ones, the blunt weapons, the axes, and the maces, you can just get later. So first of all, just spend your points on the left side and get the bladed ones, because most people go for swords. And all you have to do to be able to craft it at rank 5 with concentration is to just max out the main nodes. The 3 main nodes on the weaponsmithing is what you want to do. You max them out and you will be able to craft them with concentration. Now, although at this point you can craft T5 on certain recipes and craft all kinds of weapons, I would strongly suggest that you go further into the spec and spend 50 points on each of the sub nodes to get the recipe. Now every sub node, whether it's the pole arms, the spell sword, all of that, has new recipes to be learned. The bladed ones, the long blades, actually have to. So make sure to first of all spend 50 points in the long blades, then go for the short blades, and then for the polearm and the two-handed mace and all of that. At this point, it's time for tough choices because you can do a lot with blacksmithing. When you have fully completed the weaponsmithing one, I mean, if you haven't maxed out this weaponsmithing, you can just leave it like this and go do another spec. Like go for ArmorSmithing, like go for Reagents, go for profession equipment. You can already craft everything with concentration, but it takes a lot of concentration, so I suggest that you just max out weaponsmithing, then go for another build, because that would be just wasting the potential of that spec. Again, you're at that point that whatever you decide, you can get a lot of stuff done. The means of production spec is for whetstones, the alloys and profession equipment. The Everburning Forge is just to optimize your stats, ingenuity, resourcefulness and multicraft. The ArmorSmithing is completely obvious, it's for the armor gear. But this is the point where you decide what to do. Personally, after I have maxed out everything on weaponsmithing, I will go to the Everburning Forge to just completely optimize weaponsmithing. And then afterwards I would just go to the ArmorSmithing and max out that spec. Now let me tell you how the ArmorSmithing spec gonna look like if you ever decide on doing this first or later. Okay, just a quick reminder here, I have made a lot of videos, and I mean a lot of videos on this playlist, and I'm gonna update the playlist still. Every 3 days we have a new profession. I break it down and tell you how to best craft mythic equivalent T5 gear. So if you don't have the channel subbed, please sub the channel and check the other videos, and just keep on checking the channel so you don't miss the videos. Let's get back to it. Just like Dragonflight, the spec has not changed at all. It's the same profession, it's the same nodes, the same places, everything is just the same. So what you want to do, whether you started right away after you skill up to 80, or whether it's later when you optimize the other spec, you want to just spend points 10 each in the subnodes to gain the recipes. Level up to 100 and then gain all of the recipes to be able to craft every piece of armor and shield for your spec. Since I specialize in weaponsmithing, I went for the shield to be able to craft every weapon slot, but you can just go either right side or left side, it's up to you. I wouldn't suggest the mid one because that uses shoulders and chest and all of the tier pieces, but again, it's completely up to you. You want to be unlocking all of them, so you'll be doing it one after the other. You want to max out all the 4 nodes to be able to craft every piece of armor at T5 with concentration, and if you decide to fully maximize it, you want to delve further into the specs and max out the sub nodes. Now again, this is completely up to you what to do with the build, but for you to be able to craft a T5, you need to max out the 4 main nodes and then just optimize it by maxing out the spec, because that's the same thing to do, you know. But after all of this, you can just do the Everburning Forge, you can do the weaponsmithing if you haven't done that yet, or you can go for the reagents. Now, what I want to tell you right now is the Everburning Forge. Now, this forge is something that you can use, and it's a big forge in midst of the main hub. Basically, what this item does is just intensifies the fires of this forge. Now, this is a consumable and it's only usable by blacksmiths, and it will just intensify your stats. It boosts your stats for 30 minutes and it has a cooldown. The more you spend points in this spec, the more you have a cooldown reduction, the more you can craft, the more charges of it you can craft, and whenever you use it, it will award you 30 minutes of something like the incenses from back in Dragonflight. Like, whichever spec that you first go into, whether it's ingenuity, resourcefulness, and I implore you to go to resourcefulness first because that will maximize your profits, will just get you that. Now, this might not sound a lot, but it actually just grows to be a lot. I mean, like, it will give you twice the amount of resourcefulness, ingenuity, and multi-craft that you already have with the specs. So you must get this. This is a simple mechanic, a simple consumable, but it will award you a lot of gold and it will make your life just easier. So just spend points in it and level it up, do it as best as you can. And even if you don't want to spend points in a ingenuity or multi-craft, just spend your points in resourcefulness. That amount of resourcefulness is just a lot. You're gonna need this. For the final spec, and it's the means of production, I personally will go the profession equipment way because I just like to craft everything and sell them to the customers. But you can go get the whetstones or get the alloys and all of the reagents, and it's a lot. Now there's been a lot of discussion in the comments of why I'm not going into the reagents. I'm telling you how to craft T5 gear, I know that, and I will delve into the reagents when I'm sure what's in demand. Like, a lot of the YouTubers, a lot of the people are speculating what's gonna happen, but to be honest, that's just speculation. We need to see which way the market will go. We need to see how the players will farm certain stuff. For this stuff to be able to be discussed, I need to know all the details. And a lot of it is just random, and on the beta not a lot of people are farming it. There is no market to be had. We have access to everything. So reagents are some things that I cannot, let's say, confidently discuss. I can just speculate again like everyone else, which is something I don't like. So I will tell you to best you can do something that I'm certain is that if you want to maximize your blacksmithing profession even further when crafting T5 gear, you can go for the profession equipment. The reagents are really simple. There are two kinds of alloys and there are two kinds of whetstones. One of the whetstones are for professions, which award you finesse. It's for the gathering professions, it's for skinning, for herbalism and mining. The other is just for DPS, and the DPS will use your whetstones. It's just the same old whetstone that we had in the past expansions. As of the reagents again, I will try to make videos of this stuff when the expansion launches, when the market has settled, so we can firmly decide on what spec to use and which way to go. But tell me what you think about this stuff under the comments, and tell me what profession to do next. I mean, Mr. Arrowan asked for blacksmithing. I hope he's watching right now. But there, tell me what to do next. And that's about it. That's mostly what you can do on blacksmithing, and it's really easy to do, and I hope I made it as simple as it can be. It's way easier than it was in Dragonflight, and it's very profitable because you can just make weapons for every class. So yeah, blacksmithing is one of the top tier professions. And just like that, this video is over. So if you want to tell me what profession to do next, just do it down in the comments. You know this stuff. Sub, like, comment on the video, and I will see you in 3 days with the next profession video. So bye.